Welcome to the High Ground Podcast, where we're all about helping you rise above the noise to see things from a whole new perspective. Think of this show as your secret vantage point, like the legendary moment when Obi-Wan said, "It's over, Anakin. I have the high ground." Except here, nobody's losing limbs and we're all gaining insight. Let's start climbing because from up here, the view is so much sweeter. In today's episode, we're going to kick off the first part of our 6-part series, and it will bring immense value to any business owner. I'll be speaking from firsthand experience because I put these principles into practice to help dozens of businesses clarify their messaging and gain better results from their marketing efforts. They all stem from this book here. I picked it up about 3 years ago, and it completely shifted my perspective on marketing. And that book is Building a StoryBrand by Donald Miller. This whole series is about helping your customer win their story because your customers only care about how your brand helps them survive and thrive. Most marketing is a money pit, especially if you put your faith in the wrong person. It's because as business owners, we have at one point or another felt like we're throwing money into marketing and seeing little return. Whether it's a flashy website or an expensive ad campaign or a big billboard on a busy highway, too many business owners end up asking, why isn't this working? And Donald Miller gets straight to the heart of it in Building a StoryBrand. Here's a quick excerpt. Pretty websites don't sell things, words sell things. And if we haven't clarified our message, our customers won't listen. That quote sums it up pretty well. Clarity is the most important thing when it comes to marketing your business, and it's definitely more important than aesthetics alone. If people don't instantly understand how your product or service helps them, they'll move on. And so a really good actionable tip, if you're having these concerns, is the 5-second website test. And so find someone who knows almost nothing about your business. Let them look at your website's homepage for exactly 5 seconds. Close the page and ask, what do you think my company does? If they hesitate or get it wrong, your messaging likely needs some simplification. And so we do this practice all the time when we onboard a new website client, and especially those that are looking to clarify their messaging or upgrade their site because they feel like it's not converting. And we'll actually grab somebody from another one of our teams and do this test with them. Look at this website for 5 seconds and tell me what company we're building the website for. And they oftentimes can't because the messaging is so poor. And so again, do the 5-second website test. And that will give you a pretty good indication on whether you should continue to tune in to the 6 other parts of this series and see if your messaging is a problem and needs some clarity as well. In the book, they cover 2 critical mistakes that businesses make. And mistake number 1 is failing to focus on how you help your customer survive and thrive. Too many times when we look at a website, the first thing that we see on the site is a picture of their building, a section talking about their company, not necessarily what I as a consumer want to see. You're always talking on websites, me. We've been in business for 50 years. We have the largest selection. We're this, we're that, we're so on and so forth. None of that type of content is helping me as a consumer understand what problem you're solving, because human brains are wired for survival. Deep down, we all crave solutions to help us eat, drink, be safe, find love, gain status, or experience meaning. And if your messaging doesn't clearly link one of these drives, I'm going to simply tune out. And so mistake number 1, again, is failing to focus on how you help your customers survive and thrive, not what you do, your awards, your history, your company size, your revenue, all of that stuff that clutters too many websites. And mistake number 2 is causing customers to burn too many mental calories. And so our brains conserve energy by ignoring information that doesn't quickly demonstrate value. If your marketing is cluttered with jargon, random backstory, or complicated features, potential customers feel exhausted by your message. And so we always think about this in a couple different ways. The first way we think about it is when we wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning, we are 100% fully charged. Then we have to make a decision on what we're going to wear and whether we're going to eat breakfast. And we're going to get out the door. And we're going to drive to work. And we're going to, as soon as we walk in, we're going to have an employee or somebody ask us a question. And we're going to answer that. And that goes on for the entire day. What am I going to eat for lunch? What decision am I going to make? And by the time that you are out of your business, ready to make consumer decisions, your mental capacity may be at a 30%, maybe even lower. And now you're tasked when you get home to find a plumber or HVAC person or to shop for a new car. And the willingness that you're going to, the patience that you're going to have as a consumer to try to understand a business's message is very, very low because you're running at 30%. And so think of this like opening a textbook written in a foreign language. If you can't decipher it in a few seconds, you're going to give up. Protecting your limited mental energy. That's exactly what customers do if your brand messaging is too dense or irrelevant. So again, those 2 common problems that you're facing, you likely have one of them if your marketing is falling flat. The first one is you're not catering to consumers' survive or thrive, or you're causing your customers to have to think too much about what you offer them. And so there's 2 action steps. There's a 2-step action plan here to really identify whether you are facing these 2 problems. The first one is do a survival focus check. Does your homepage or ad copy show you how to help customers save time, save money, feel more secure, connect with others, or achieve a deeper sense of meaning? If not, highlight the places where you need to rework your content. And so if you are a tax professional, we're right around here in January, tax professional, you probably should be talking about saving time and saving money, getting the most return back for your 2024 tax returns, and saving time by not having to do it and hiring a professional. Those would be 2 really good things that you should focus on at this point. And so if you're a tax professional and your messaging does not talk to saving time, saving money, making me as a consumer feel more secure that I'm getting the most out of my tax return, or that my taxes are done correctly, then your messaging is off and other tax professionals are definitely getting more business than you. And so that's the survival focus check. Does the messaging speak to my survival instincts, surviving or thriving? And then you have the calorie burn check. Look at your main pages, your brochures, your advertisements, and remove or rewrite any paragraphs that don't quickly communicate a benefit to the customer. Keep things concise, less is more. And so you really want to make sure that you don't have a lot of different acronyms and jargon, industry slang coming into your content, because you may be a roofer, but I know nothing about that roofing slang. And so make sure that your messaging is tailored to your audience. So if you feel like you're facing these problems in your messaging, your marketing, regardless of the investment, just seems like it's falling flat, it's pretty likely in our experience that your messaging is off. So the antidote to these mistakes is story. Story acts as a sense-making device, allowing people to organize information without burning tons of mental energy. As Donald explains, story is the greatest weapon we have to combat noise because it organizes information in such a way that people are compelled to listen. When your marketing follows the structure of story, customers intuitively understand how you help them solve their problems. They see themselves as the hero on a journey, and they see you as the guide who has the plan. Oftentimes we're talking about when we're scrolling, what catches our attention on social media. Or when we come back into the office after the weekend or the next day, we talk about these shows and TV shows that we just binged the full seasons of. In the marketing world, you also hear things like, people have low attention spans, which can be true, but at the same time, if your messaging is captivating enough, people will give you the time and attention. And that's what this whole book is all about. As you see, we have, if you're watching the podcast, I don't know how many books here, 20 books. We have a closet full of more Building StoryBrand books. We hand these out like candy because it's such a revolutionary book that our entire company has read this book. If you come in to our company, you are required to read this book because it's such a simple principle, but it makes so much sense and it can revolutionize the way that we serve our clients as a marketing agency. And so we hand these out to our clients. We hand these out to our new hires. It's a prerequisite. I think myself and multiple people in the environment have read this book multiple times. Mine's pretty battered and beat at this point with highlighting of different colors, throwing it in my bag, and all that stuff. And we've actually put these principles into play for businesses. I think of a time that I helped a client, Rudy, recently, and he focuses on thyroid ablation techniques. And he came to us just as not to buy our services, but to work with us on our expertise. And we looked at his website, and it was very clear that the jargon that he was using about thyroid ablation techniques were jargon. When I landed on his website, I didn't know what he was saying. And so we clarified his message. And within the first 4 weeks after we were able to make updates to his website, simplify his messaging by following the SB7 framework found in Donald Miller's book, he actually landed a $100,000+ client in the 4 weeks after we re-clarified his message. And that's a true story. We're going to work on getting Rudy on the podcast to talk about that because it was such a key moment in his story, having a website for multiple years and really just trying to grind it out to get sales, that as soon as we clarified his message, magic happened. And so we're extremely passionate here at Summit about the StoryBrand book. I don't remember how it came into my life 3 years ago, but I wouldn't be where I'm at today and be able to help as many businesses that I've been able to help if I wouldn't have read this book. And so through this 6-part series, we're really key on making sure that we clarify your message and provide real value to your business. If you follow the steps, you buy the book, or you want to reach out to us, we have no problem working with you to try to clarify your message. It's something that we actually are really passionate about and enjoy doing. We've talked a little bit, and this episode's all about setting the stage of what we're going to talk about in the next episodes. And one of the big things I want to talk about here is the StoryBrand 7-part framework. And Donald does a really good job at distilling the essential elements of a compelling brand story into 7 steps. A character, which is your customer, who has a problem, meets a guide, that's you, who gives them a plan, calls them to action, helps them avoid failure, and ends in success. Okay? And that is the 7-part framework. And over these next few episodes, we'll dive into each element so you can create messages that immediately connect with your audience. By adopting this story lens, you'll avoid overwhelming potential customers and clearly show how your brand deepens their needs and solves their problems. And so up on the screen here, I have a nice little graphic that I stole from the StoryBrand book, and it kind of gives you a visual reference. And so if you are listening to the podcast, not looking at the podcast, you'll want to switch over to YouTube or switch on Spotify video to take a look at this, or look it up, just the StoryBrand guide. Buy the book. And so the first thing is the character, and that is the hero of your story. When we talked about when people land on your website and all you're showing them in the first photo is a picture of your building, your trucks, you talk about your fleet, you talk about your years of experience, you talk about your revenue, why you're the best. That puts you as the hero of your own story, right? And that's wrong. That's all wrong. Remove everything of that. If your website has any of those elements, remove it. Because at the end of the day, they don't care. You care. And that's some real talk, right? You care about those things. Your client does not. And so the character that you identify is the hero of your story, and that is your customer. You, with your years of experience, are the guide of that story. And so your character, your customer, has a problem, and it meets a guide. It lands on your website. It sees your truck. You are to guide them through the process. And you give them the plan. And you call them to action. And the character, your customer, when they work with you, that either ends in success and it helps them avoid failure. Okay? So on this graphic that you're seeing on the screen, this is what we'll be talking about and how to identify these key points, how to clarify your messaging in your entire site, how to use a SB7 framework to revolutionize your marketing efforts. Something that you can tangibly provide to marketing agencies that you work with in the future and say, here, this is how you should market to the people that I want to target. This is what they need. These are the problems that they have. And this is how we solve those problems for them. And this is how we achieve greatness or avoid failure. And so let's take it to some real world situations. On the screen, you'll see a new graphic. And one of my favorite movies, I think it's a great franchise. It's called The Hunger Games. Okay? And Katniss is the character of the story and the hero of the story, the one that we all get behind when we're watching the Hunger Games series. And the problem that Katniss faces is she must survive. She has to volunteer to save her sister, right? And so she must survive. She's thrown into these Hunger Games. And she's facing an external problem. Again, that is the survival. The internal problem is she must stay good and authentic. She must stay true to who she is. And she has a philosophical problem, is the tyranny versus the democracy. Okay? And that is Katniss's problem that she faces through the entire movie. And she meets Haymitch. He's the guide. And he knows the struggles that Katniss will be facing because he has won the Hunger Games. And then they have a plan, and she speaks with Haymitch, and he says, you're going to have to endear the public so you can get some sponsors. And then she competes. That's the call to action. She's thrown into the game. She has to compete. And then the success of this story is Katniss lives, and District 12 rejoices. Or if she fails, she dies, and District 12 is crushed, right? This is just the arc of the story that carries through the entire series. And Katniss is our hero, and you as the business is the guide. Don't get those things confused. As we're talking through this, is when we worked through this multiple times, it's very easy for us as the business to think that we're the hero. We're saving. We want to be Superman. We want to save our clients from the treachery that's happening out there. We're just there to guide them. We want to position them as the hero in their own story. Another example is a popular movie, another great movie, Lord of the Rings, right? And so Frodo wants a peaceful life, but must face a threat. And so the problem that he's facing is evil threatens all that he holds dear. The Shire is going to collapse, right? He feels unworthy. That's an internal problem that he's facing. And he believes that tyranny shouldn't rule. And that's his philosophical problem. And then he meets Gandalf, who empathizes with his fear and proves he's knowledgeable. And then they plan, they gather the allies, they go to Mordor, and they destroy the ring. And the calls to action is Frodo must leave the Shire and commit to the quest. He's called to action. He's got to do these things. And the failure, if he fails, is Sauron will dominate Middle-earth. And if they win, the ring, or the success is the ring is destroyed and peace is restored. Okay? And so these are the different things, and you can take these principles and you can think about your favorite movies. We opened up the episode with one of my favorite franchises, Star Wars. And so you look at Luke and Obi-Wan, and it's the same story arc, right? There's problems that we're facing, and we want to distill this down into principles for your HVAC company, to your plumbing company, to your garage door repair company, to a salon. I mean, you can really take a look at any business and create this story arc, and it will clarify your messaging and produce results. Those are the things that we're going to be talking about in this six episode series. I really urge you to tune in every week. Tuesday at 5:30 we'll be dropping these episodes. And so I promised you at the beginning of the show that we would be talking about our exclusive giveaway. And what I'm doing is I'm going to be offering a free copy of Building a StoryBrand by Donald Miller, and it's an amazing resource. So how to qualify for this giveaway I'll send you a book of Building a StoryBrand is to comment, clarify my message in the comments. And for a bonus across the entire six series, I'll actually be dedicating, I'll give you a 2-hour strategy session, consultant session to help you walk through the book and actually clarify your message. So that's a giveaway. That carries over like $800 value to you. I'll give that to you completely free. All you have to do is comment, clarify my message, and I'll be selecting a winner at the end of the 6-part episode. Now, you can get multiple entries. And so if you comment on today's episode, the next episode, you can get up to 6 entries into this, and I'll randomize them and I'll select a winner through a random generator of some sort. So all you have to do is enter to get the free Building a StoryBrand book and a 2-hour strategy session with myself to help you clarify your messaging. Comment, clarify your message on YouTube or Spotify to enter. And so let's recap really quickly. Most marketing fails because it's either not tied to survival drive or it's too confusing. How are you going to help me survive and thrive? And if it's too confusing, I'm leaving. And then the 2 critical mistakes: positioning your offer as something that helps customers survive or thrive, causing customers to burn too many calories deciphering your message. I don't want to think. I just want to contact you. And then story is the solution, organizing the information and the character, the problem, the guide, the calls to action, the plan, all of those things together. That's the StoryBrand 7-part framework as a proven method to shape your messaging around the customer's journey. That's what we're going to dive into. And along the way, we're going to be talking about the different clients that we've helped clarify their messaging and their real-world testimony as to what it's done for their business. And so in next week's episode, we'll dig deeper into the SB7 framework, identifying our character and the specific problems they face and why speaking to their internal frustrations can skyrocket engagement. Thanks for listening to the High Ground Podcast. If you found value here, please subscribe, like, and share this episode with a friend who needs to transform their marketing, who needs to clarify their message. And of course, don't forget to enter our giveaway for a chance to win your own copy of Building a StoryBrand and a 2-hour consultation session on clarifying your message. Deuces.